Hi and welcome back to Dusty Book Sniffers. My name's Nicole and today we're on location in Indooroopilly car park because I'm working on the fly while picking up my daughter because my car broke down and I had to come down a second time. So I'm just waiting for her to turn up, so I may end up abruptly ending this video, but anyway. She's taking her time. I've been sitting here for about 10 minutes, so I thought, oh, well, I'll do some work while I'm here. All right, so I'm today talking about, I just recently joined NetGalley. I don't get ARCs or anything like that. I generally pay for all the books that I read, or I get them off Kindle Unlimited or whatever, or I get them off my daughter's bookshelf. So anyway, a few people said to me I should really try NetGalley, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. So I signed up for it, and I don't really understand how it works, but I assume that you apply to get advanced reader copies and all that sort of stuff. And I understand that the cover and the editing might not be at its final stages or anything like that, not ready for publication. Well, anyway, while I was there, I noticed that I could get some Read It Now books. I didn't have to get approved for them. So I thought, all right, no worries. I assume that I still have to give to get it for nothing. I still have to give an honest review of a book and whatnot. So I wasn't real sure. So I thought, oh, well, I'll check out the audio books. It's always good to, because, you know, they're quite expensive and I've got Kindle Unlimited. And I thought I'll just, you know, get some latest releases, see what's there and whatnot. And there was a few things that I was looking at. And one of them had a really creepy vibe. And I thought, well, that's perfect for October. So it's called The Wraith. And it's by Mark Wheaton. It's both in audio and in the physical, in the ebook format on there, and the ebook format has 284 pages. And the narrator of the audiobook is, let me just get this right, Annalise Scott. It's in the genre of horror, and it's 8 hours and 49 minutes long is the audiobook, because I listened to the audiobook, and it was published back in 2021. So it's not a new book. I didn't get the month that it was published, though. I couldn't find that anywhere. So this book is for someone that likes light horror, gothic. It's not horrific as in like some horrors can be. It's more bump in the night, spectre, creepy vibes, ghost sort of thing. So it's just light horror, but it has a really gothic vibe to it. Sorry about the glare. There's not much I can really do. I'll just move it a bit that way and that might be a bit better. Yeah, so it's like it's got a creepy vibe to it, and this book just from the get-go got straight into it. Now, I've never read anything by Mark Wheaton, but apparently he's got a few books out. I haven't done a lot of research on him, and I've just got my notes here and whatnot, because apparently I give an honest review, and that's how you read them. I know nothing about NetGalley, can you tell? And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that do NetGalley, and maybe you can explain to me how it all works. I understand that you apply for books and whatnot, and then you get them if you're approved and all that sort of hoo-ha. So hopefully I will basically keep going until I get approved for some, and then yeah. So I'm only sort of applying for audiobooks at this point because I really have a lot on my TBR in the physical book and ebooks that I want to get through. So I'm only applying for audiobooks at this stage. So just so you know that. Now, as I said, it's gothic light horror, and it's following the story of Cecily, and we start out with her and her mum, and there's this violent storm, and her mum. And this is in the prologue. So basically it's setting up the story. And basically it starts out with her. I think she's about 10 or 11, maybe 12 years old. And they're living in a trailer. They've been moving around a lot. And we've got this really violent storm happening. And Cecily notices that there's this creepy woman there with long, wet, matted hair and in long white clothing. And her mum goes, I know, and then they run off out into the storm, and basically they get separated, and they end up down on the beach, and her mother passes away. So then it jumps forward. So that was a very glossed over. There's a whole lot of other stuff that happens in there, and I don't want to give too much away. So then basically what happens from there is it jumps about 10 years, I think, and she's about 19 or 20, and she's working in South Carolina, and she's a botanist, basically. She keeps to herself, and she doesn't have anything to do really with anybody. She works for a lady, but isn't overly involved in all the stuff that happens there. And then one day she's out looking for some plants and whatnot, and I've just lost my spot there. She's out looking for some plants in the swamplands and whatnot. She gets back to the shop where her boss is upstairs, and then someone says that there's this French guy there for her. Anyway, she goes down, and he starts talking to her about her grandmother. Now, she does know that she's been living with her aunt, relatives here, like in the US, but she also knew that she had a grandmother that lived in France, but she didn't know her and had nothing to do with her. She didn't even turn up to her mother's funeral or anything. And so she's like, nope, don't want nothing to do with it. Subsequently, she changes her mind, and then she gets to France and Paris, and this is all like within the first chapter or two. So to set up the premise of the story, she gets to France, but her grandmother is dying, and but she doesn't make it in time. And all this stuff there's all this other creepy stuff happening in the meantime and whatnot. She gets there, and she ends up in the house, and she realizes that she's very much like her grandmother. And the story goes on from there. And so basically what Cecily has to do is she she doesn't know any of these people that she's with in France and stuff like that. So she doesn't really know who she can trust or anything like that. But she is with this stranger that's turned up in the US to bring her back. And that stranger was sent there by her grandmother. But as I said, unfortunately, she doesn't make it there in time. And so there is a whole history with her family and the countess. There's a countess in it. And so it's sort of the race is on for her to find out her family's history and trying to correct it, all while trying to keep everybody alive. So I really, really enjoyed the story, so much so that I actually recommended it to my husband, and he doesn't like horror stuff. So it's not horror in the sense of blood and guts and all the rest of it. It's more horror with things that go bump in the night and specters. Okay, so it's sort of that sort of feel to it. And he goes, oh, I might give that a read. So he was pretty happy about that. And yeah, so basically, as I said, I listened to it on audio, and I really liked Annalee Scott's narration of this story. I didn't feel like she was droning on. The story was still fast paced. I didn't listen to this at my normal speed either, although I did speed it up to 125. Yeah, so basically I really enjoyed how fast paced the story was. I didn't feel like it was lacking in any way. Although I have marked it down in my rating because I felt the ending was a little bit weak. But in saying that, I don't know, like I felt like it was a little bit left open for maybe a part 2. So yeah, so basically I'm hoping that there is part 2 because it definitely left it open, but it also finished in a way that there didn't need to be a part 2 as well, but there's still room to explore, if that makes sense. So I've given it a 4-star rating. Overall, I love the book. I couldn't put it down. I listened to it in record time. Like I normally, if I'm listening to it at that speed, I'll listen to it for a little while, put it down, come back to it. I actually just kept listening to it. I listened to it while I was working. Then I listened to it when I was in bed stitching. So yeah, I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the plot line, the narration, the pacing, and everything, and I've given it a 4-star rating. As I said, I marked it down. It would have been a 5-star rating because I thoroughly enjoyed it that much. Only I felt that the ending was a little bit weak. But if you like light horror, gothic books with a mystery and thriller to go with it, you will definitely love this book. So it is available to purchase. I did find it over on Kindle Unlimited as an e-book format, and it is also on Audible as well. They're the two main ones that not on Scribd, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're looking for something to read, I highly recommend The Wraith by Mark Wheaton. That's it from me today. As I always say, keep turning those pages, and I will see you all again next time. Bye for now.